So this reflection it's part of what we call the Sermon on the Mount. It was Jesus teaching to the people that he had just called to be his followers. And so he's teaching them about what it means to be his follower. And in this section, he uses two images. You are to be salt and you are to be light. These two things they change the situation which they're in. And the implication here is that to be a follower of Jesus means that we should be changing the situation where we are. He stresses the point by saying, look, if the salt loses its flavour, it's of no use to anyone. You might as well chuck it out. Or if you light a lamp, you don't put it under something. You put it up in a place where it'll have the most effect. What he's saying to them, and also to us then, is faith is not something that we keep private. It's something to be lived out in the world where it's going to make a difference. So many Christians, and actually I think a lot of churches, seem to teach that you come to faith in Jesus, you'll go to heaven, and that's it. Well, that's true, you will go to heaven, but that's not the aim of being a follower of Jesus. We're called to live out our faith. It's not all about our personal salvation. When we become a follower of Jesus, we are recruited into God's agenda. And God's agenda is for the world to be brought back into relationship with him. And we're asked to play our part in that. And in fact, we're bringing to life a part of the Lord's Prayer. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. We are recruited to actively work for God. Why would Jesus choose the images of salt and light? Well, actually, salt back then was a very, very precious commodity. It was so precious that actually Rome paid their soldiers in salt. It isn't just something that flavours food. There are apparently 14,000 different uses of salt, many of them used in manufacturing. Light is essential. Light is essential for us to see in the dark. And as I said before, these things change their environment. They're also commodities that sustain life. I mean, we know we shouldn't have too much salt in our lives, but if we don't have enough, we won't live, we'll die. Light is needed for vegetation to grow, so we wouldn't have any crops without light. But also it affects us, and there are people who live in areas where there's very little sunlight in winter. They find that they can easily become depressed, and they need to sit in some sort of artificial sunlight for some time each day to help ward off depression. Each of these commodities also has a purifying and a healing quality. Ultraviolet light is used to disinfect many things. It also can treat skin diseases. Salt is a great cleanser of infection, and it's nothing better than hot salty water to clean out infected cuts and scrapes. It also apparently has antiviral properties. But also these two things are not passive, they're not neutral. They both penetrate. Salt will penetrate the food to give it flavour. Light penetrates the darkness. And what Jesus is saying, that we are to live out our faith in a way that penetrates the culture around us. Some time ago there was a poster going around which said, if you were arrested for being a Christian, would there be enough evidence to convict you? Now, for many who call themselves Christians, I doubt whether there would be, because they say, my faith is private. It's never what Jesus called us to be. In fact, we look at the book of Acts, we see those first followers of Jesus. They went out into their culture and they proclaimed Jesus. They were beaten, put in prison, but they never stopped. And they actually changed the world around them. This is the call on the lives of followers today. Are we salt that brings flavour, that enables cleansing and renewing? Are we the light that exposes the darkness and enables people to see the truth?